Welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. Joe, we got a win to talk about. We have a win. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't great, but they won. It was a good reminder that the Flyers can win the game.
Yeah, I know. Like, lucky us that we get to go live a day after a win instead of in the midst of a losing streak. So thank you, Flyers, for making this a little bit easier and a little bit more joyful. How you doing, Gilbs?
No, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, doing all right here. It's cold out there. Have you seen the snow forecast for Sunday?
Yeah, I was thinking of going home this weekend on like Saturday to my family's, but if the snow's starting on Sunday morning, I don't want to get stuck out there for like the next 4 days. So looks like we're getting snowed in this week.
Yeah, like the forecast right now says 9 to 11 on Sunday on the iPhone weather app, and then 3 to 4 on Monday. So we'll see what happens there. But
Inches?
inches, yeah,
Inches?
inches, not centimeters, inches. So we'll see.
Well, 9
comes
a.m. to
through.
11 a.m. or something, but
Oh
yeah,
no,
okay.
no inches, 9 to 11 inches there. But yeah, so it's cold in Philadelphia, but the Flyers are no longer ice cold. Did get that win on Monday night in Vegas. I can't imagine. At least it was only an 8 o'clock start. Like usually it's 10 o'clock or later out there in Vegas. But we got an 8 o'clock start. Game was over by 10:30. Wasn't even too late.
Martin Luther King Day special, I think, because it was a public holiday. That's why they had games on during the
Yeah.
afternoon, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So the Flyers odds over at FanDuel, thanks to them for sponsoring the show, they plummeted quite a bit. They were up to around plus 200 before that game, but now they are where are they at? Let me scroll around here. They are still plus 200 to make the playoffs there, which is basically gives them a third of a chance, a third to make the playoff, 30%. Which we'll talk about it later in the show what expectations are and should be for this team, but like. This team is you saw that last night. They beat the Knights without having their best hockey for maybe they were the better team for 5 minutes total in that game. Like they were just holding on. I think they had less than 20 shots in that one. But yeah, FanDuel plus 200 to make the playoffs. I think that's a pretty good look there over at FanDuel.
Yeah, no, last night's win was ugly, but they don't ask how, they ask how many. And TK put the team on his back and carried them to victory. It's and Sam Ersson too. He had a get right game, and they just needed to find a way to win. Just get out of the losing streak, and they did it. So
yeah, they needed a win. They needed to get their mojo back a bit. I know Zegras talked about that after. I think one of the losses, maybe in Buffalo or Pittsburgh, they just got to get their mojo back there. They got to get going here. And there were times during that losing streak where large portions of the game, like 8-10, the whole second period in Pittsburgh, they were the better team. Like they were the better team. Just they were not getting saves at all. We're not able to put the puck in the net. And their special teams was absolutely dreadful. I mean, last night they went 6 for 7 on the penalty kill there, which was very good against the 5-forward power play. Joe is doing the 6-7 for the podcast listeners. Yeah, they got Eichel on that. They got Marner. They got Stone, and their one goal was kind of like a broken play off of a deflection in front. So like that was a great job by the PK, which I was kind of worried about with Obels out because I know Obels has been a big part of the penalty kill.
Yeah, I don't know. They surely put it on the broadcast. Vegas is like the 4th best power play in the league. Like they are really good on the man advantage. And that one goal they did allow, like Tomas Hertl had like the deflection of the year. That was just a gorgeous tip. Perfect setup from Eichel. Nobody's stopping that puck. Like that's going in. And the Flyers, like you said, they had 7 penalties. Which, boys, like those are lazy stick penalties, most of them. Get that in check.
Mm-hmm.
They could have gotten burned a lot worse than they did. So they were lucky to get away with only 1 power play goal against them.
Yeah, a lot of penalties, a lot of bad penalties, but also a few ticky-tack calls from the refs. It always seems like Vegas, like every year, they're like one of the least penalized teams, which I don't really have a problem with a lot of the calls on the Flyers, but it's just some of the missed trip on Brink. There was I think a high stick or a cross check or something that could have been called. And the soft call on I think it was the Sanheim cross checking on Eichel there.
Eichel flops, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
easily.
It's like they're like Florida West, because the Florida Panthers get away with so much shit and never get penalized for it, and then the Golden Knights also seem to get away with a lot of things and don't get penalized for it. It's very,
Yeah.
very frustrating. Hey, also, it's worth noting part of the reason the Flyers got like a little lucky with Vegas, they had just traded out one of their regular defensemen in Zach White.
Hmm.
Rasmus Anderson had not yet arrived. So Vegas is deep, but they had just had part of their locker room traded. They had another guy coming that wasn't there yet. So maybe you just catch them in a little state of flux and get a little lucky.
Yeah, Vegas was hot coming into it, but as you mentioned, they're missing a second pair of defensemen in White Cloud and Anderson, not there yet. Looking at last minute on the penalty kill, Cam York 8 minutes 10 seconds, Sean Couturier 8 minutes 1 second there. Just Dvorak 5:16. Yeah, Owen Tippett was out there for 24 seconds and nearly no, he was on the ice for the Konechny shorthanded goal. He kind of broke up that pass that sprung Konechny, and Konechny he went high glove or low glove side his first goal, and then his second goal went blocker side. Just TK, we were worried about him a little bit with his injuries and everything, but he seems to be back at it as well now. 3 goals in his past 2 games.
He has like 26 points in his last 24 games. So
Hmm.
and he's one behind Zegras now for the team lead. Also, shout out Owen Tippett. I wrote the 3 stars this week for BroadStreetHockey.com. Like and subscribe. And I made Owen Tippett my second star of the week. This was before the Vegas game, but since December 3rd, which was the last time he kind of popped up in trade rumors, he has had over 60% expected goals for, like a 60 expected goals for percentage over the past like month and a half. So it's not just your eyes that are it's true. He looks better and he is playing better by the numbers. And he's been doing it more consistently. So hopefully he can keep riding this way through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and a key to doing that is getting Bobby Brink back and having Bobby Brink on that third line, having the
The,
Dvorak Zegras Konechny line together,
the good
having
luck
that.
charm.
Yeah, having the Couturier Barkey Tippett line together, which I was questioning if they should have kept Barkey and Michkov together on that line. But I mean, Michkov, Cates, and Brink has played together some this season as well. 58% of the expected goal share in their 87 minutes now. So they have a few solid lines. And then Lane Peterson, he came in, did not look out of place on that fourth line. I mean, not exactly big shoes to fill with Rodrigo Abels. All the best to him and Team Latvia,
Do
unfortunately.
we do we
Unfortunate
have an
timing, but
official do we have an official statement on what kind of injury he had yet, other than Tocchet saying it's not good?
it's not good, but I'm pretty sure there was already someone announced to replace him on the roster. So he is not going to be playing in the Olympics, which is really unfortunate
It's a
for
bummer.
maybe not his last time. Maybe he'll still be skating around out there in 2030, but this would have been a good moment for him. You know, he's what, like 30, 32. Like he'll be around for Latvia in a few
Lot
years.
Yeah, it's not like it's Team Canada where you
No,
have the next generation coming immediately. Team Latvia is a bit thinner on
yeah.
talent, I guess we might say. Um, no, it's a real bummer. I would also say it's a bit of a bummer they called up Lane Peterson, because what better opportunity is there to try Trevor Zegras at center? And then they just decided, no, we're gonna call this guy up. So
Yeah, it's tough because, like, yeah, you do want to see Zegras at center. I don't know if you, but and maybe this is the time to do it because like nothing's going right. Let's try Zegras at center. We have seen Zegras with like Tippett and Michkov after like a penalty kill after Dvorak is out on the penalty kill. So we do
mhm.
see that sometimes, but I don't know. In the midst of a losing streak, going on the road against 3 pretty good teams, 2 of the best teams in the league, two of the top 5, I would say, in Vegas and Colorado, maybe isn't the time to do that. But then again, when is the time to do it if you're not going to do it? And speaking of Zegras, it's interesting how it's very quiet around like his potential extension talks. Like I remember that coming up in November, maybe into December, talking about it, and it was all Dvorak. And now it's all, will Risto be healthy to be traded? Who else could the Flyers be looking at? There's nothing out there around Zegras' contract. I'm not worried to say anything, but it's just interesting that there's nothing out there at all.
I the only RFA I think the Flyers signed mid-season was Owen Tippett. right? I think that was or at least Briere. Under Briere, I think Owen Tippett's the only RFA that they've signed mid-season. Cates, York, like they were both in the off season. Forrester was also in the off season. Like I don't think they're rushing to get this done because Dvorak was a UFA. There's a reason that you have to get that deal done. But with Zegras, it's just like let the season play out and then circle back around because he's still scoring, but he's not looked quite as good as he did for the first few months. Maybe he tails off a bit and you knock a few bucks off a contract in June as opposed to signing him now.
Yeah, it looks like teams are starting to key in on him even more than before. Like they realize, oh, Trevor Zegras is actually this good. Let's see how we can take him away from the Flyers because he seems to be their only offense. And yeah, Tippett was signed on January 26th, 2024. So almost 2 years ago exactly. So maybe we get some sort of Zegras update like during the Olympic break or something if they want to take care of some business there. But yeah, Zegras still 44 points in 48 games. I mean, if he's a point per game player on the wing, I'm not going to complain. It's just it does suck not having the center depth.
Yeah, and I guess in a way, he can move over if you have to.
Yeah,
which is why with the injury to Abels, I'm like, you have a guy on the roster who has the talent and skill to do this. Why not just move him over? And hey, maybe they will against Utah. Maybe against the Golden Knights, they thought, oh, we better have a better defensive. I don't know if Lane Peterson qualifies as defensive, but like maybe a more reliable fourth line instead of having a Zegras centered line that could be very effective, but also a little bit of a chaos agent line.
Yeah. The other question then is, I mean, I put it on Blue Sky. Like, if I think this is the chance to get Zegras at center and put Couturier at 4C, I don't think Tocchet is putting Couturier as the fourth line center. And then who is going to be? He's not putting Dvorak there. I don't think Cates is going to go there. So it's basically, all right, come up, Lane Peterson, play 10 minutes a night, and we'll go with the 9 better forwards in the top 9.
Yeah. I understand it. I'm just like, it's an opportunity that's being passed over.
Yeah, and it knocks it knocked Nikita Grubenkin out of the lineup as well. I'd rather have him in than Lane Peterson, but like all the moving pieces with the lines we talked about have been doing pretty well. Barkey, Couturier, Tippett, and all of that. Like keep it together, see what happens. Maybe when the Flyers come home, they host the Islanders on Monday, and then the Kings, Capitals, and Senators before the break. Maybe when you can do some line matching there, you get Zegras at center. But it just seems that that's not in the cards this season or potentially ever for the Flyers.
Did you, at the beginning of the season, if I told you in mid-January that the New York Islanders were second in the Metropolitan Division, would you have believed me?
I would have said Ilya Sorokin's probably the favorite for the Vezina, which he is at FanDuel.
He is.
Sure you check out. I'm pretty sure he's like minus 125 now. He's flown up the charts. Logan Thompson has completely bottomed out a little bit. He's still decent, but not nearly at the top of the league. And yeah, the Metro, I mean, Islanders second, Penguins third, Flyers technically fourth by point percentage. Fourth by points too as well. They're tied with Capitals, both at 54. So the Metro, the Devils are the big storyline. Like the Devils, they got Brad Shaw. I was like, oh, Luke Hughes is going to take off with Brad Shaw, and he's putting the puck in his own net practically. So that's not quite working out in New York.
The only defenseman taking off from New Jersey is Dougie Hamilton because they're trying to get him out of there, right? No, the East is a mess. The Rangers are in last place, which is hilarious. And the Jets, I think the Jets are, no, the Canucks are real bad, but the Jets are pretty bad too.
Yeah.
What is with these teams winning the President's Trophy and then never going back to the playoffs? It's just a weird thing to have happen.
The Jets is extremely weird. Like, I know Hellebuck was hurt for a bit, but he still hasn't been great. Losing Ehlers isn't that big of a loss, but like, I don't know. It's just everything going wrong. And Winnipeg, because Winnipeg's goal differential only -6, but they have the second worst point percentage in the league, which I don't know. They've been better. They can turn it around. We saw the Blues do it 7 years ago now. It's a long time ago, but
it's been a while.
Turn around there. Speaking of turning it around, we went 15 minutes here without giving praise to Sam Ersson. I don't know how high of praise he deserves after some of his previous outings, but good to see him back in there, making some big stops, doing what is asked of him. Like there were no breakaways against, I don't think. There were no big odd man rush chance too much, but like making those saves in front, tracking the puck, not shrinking into the net, like just giving the team a chance to win, play low event hockey, do decent special teams battle, decent goaltending battle, and see what happens. And that's what Ersson did. Ersson outdueled Aiden Hill, who Golden Knights goaltending situation is pretty bad as well.
Real bad. I joked about it in the Slack today about how the Flyers are going to upset the Canes in the first round, and it's the same. It's the same reason. Do we really think this Bussy guy is going to carry the Canes to the promised land when Freddie Anderson is? I mean, that's a Jordan Bennington level run if Bussy's the guy. And then Freddie Anderson is playing like just absolute garbage. So
he's Freddie Anderson. He's completely washed up.
He might be done.
Yeah, I mean, Bussy
and then Vegas
had good numbers in the AHL last year for Providence. So, I mean, I didn't realize he was in Boston. They had Swayman and him ready to go. That would be quite the duo in Boston if they had kept him.
Yeah, imagine if they'd kept Olmark as well, who is on leave right now. Apparently, there's like an interview coming out tonight.
No, yeah, it's out today. I haven't watched it yet, but hopefully he's in a much better mental health space and able to return soon for the Sens because they need goaltending as well.
Oh yeah, Marilainen and is it Forsberg? No.
It's not Forsberg anymore. It's I got it right here. It is.
Man, I'm gonna kick myself.
James Reimer started the game the other day. James Reimer, Hunter Shepard.
Why?
Like that's what's out there. That's why I wrote, could Jordan Bennington be a thing? And I'm sure people had a ball with that one with all the comments. Yeah, it's Allmark, Marilainen, and then Reimer started the game, and you had Hunter Shepard and Mads Sogard both come in relief in one game there. So 870 team percentage for Ottawa, which I think is worse than the Flyers.
Wow.
That's
pretty bad.
That's bad.
And the Flyers goaltending has been bad. And boy, to be worse than the Flyers goaltending, because I think the Blues might still have a worse team save percentage. But although Joel Hofer has been playing better. Anyway, no, Sam Ersson, as a longtime Ersson person, glad to see him have a get right game. You could see it in his face afterwards, just like the relief. Like he looked just like, oh, finally. So, keep it going. I imagine you go back to him against Utah tomorrow, because I don't think Vladar will be ready for that one.
Yeah, I don't want to give. Yeah, Vladar's not going to be ready, I don't think, and I'm not giving Kolosov the net. Like, sorry, I'm just not. And luckily, there's no back-to-backs on this trip, so Ersson doesn't have to deal with that. But Utah, it's not quite as high as Mile High there in Denver, but it's a pretty high altitude, so you do have to deal with that as well in Utah and Colorado. So maybe they get Vladar back for that game on Friday night in Colorado. But we counted this as 3 losses. They already have 2 points. They have a regulation win already on this trip. Like, this is already more than we thought. We thought it would be a 9-game losing streak coming back home to play the Islanders, who are pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think it's worth pointing out too about like the the Eastern Conference. Like the Flyers, this is their first streak of the year of really anything. Like, I don't think they went on a 5-game win streak at any point. I don't think they went on a losing streak of more than like 2 or 3 games, which is weird for the East because most of the teams, they are streaking. Like the Penguins will win 7 in a row and then drop 6, or the Bruins will win like 9 and then lose 8. Like it feels bad for the Flyers, but they've just been alternating wins and losses all season instead of going on any of these streaks that the rest of the conference has been doing. It looks the same on the playoff scoreboard and whatnot, but from game to game, it does feel a lot weirder. So, hey, maybe they rattle off a 7-game win streak because that's just what Eastern Conference teams do now.
Yeah, it's a very just streaky league all around. Like, not even just in the East. Like, it's like, all right, you win 3, you lose 3, you go 2-1-0, you go 1-0-2. Like it's very rare for these teams to have too long of losing or even winning streaks. Like, I mean, you only see the Avs, the Lightning, teams like that go on huge streaks. But yeah, before this 6-game streak, they had lost 3 straight once, and that was the Vegas Carolina, where they had points in all 3 of those games.
Yep.
And they had lost twice in a row at home to Edmonton and Ottawa, and then of course the back-to-back regulation losses to Toronto and Calgary. So a few back-to-back losses, but never only once in regulation until this streak. Like, and I was looking back at Rick Tocchet's teams. Like, they did not lose 6 in a row in Vancouver. I think the last time I saw was 2017-18 with Arizona. I think they started on like an 11-game losing streak and then lost 7 in a row. But like, Tocchet has been able to get his team out of ruts somehow. And I see people starting to be like, oh, getting tired of the Tocchet stuff already. But like, what do you want him to do during this streak? Like, you're playing tough opponents, you're getting injuries, your goaltending is complete garbage. Like, you can only shake up the lines so much, and he did. He tried to get stuff going. It's just the type of hockey his team plays. It's low event hockey. Try to win these low scoring games, and if you allow 4 or 5, you're probably not winning.
Yeah, your lineup options are not as numerous because of all those injuries. Also, like, the Flyers literally just ran right into a buzzsaw of teams. They ran into the Lightning back to back as they were in the midst. I think they'd won 8 in a row when they got the Flyers.
Around there, yeah.
Around there. Toronto was finding its footing. The Sabres had won 13 of 15 going into that game. The Penguins, I think, are on a win streak. No, not anymore.
They were on a losing streak, but a back-to-back. You're not winning a back-to-back against a rival. You're just not.
No. And then the Rangers had the chip on their shoulder from the letter being sent out like the day before or the morning of the
the day before. Yeah.
Like, it was just like a perfect storm of teams that are really good playing at the best of their abilities. A couple of teams just on heaters, and a team that sucks and is real bad, but felt like they had to prove something because their GM had just thrown them under the bus the day before.
Well, and Kolosov couldn't make a single save on 3 shots. Not that he was given much help on the first goal, and the penalty kill was 1 for 3 on the power play goals for the Rangers that game. But like, the Flyers were good in the second period, third period especially. But like, you go down 3-1 after that early goal by Konechny, and it's just like, oh my god, here we go again. Like, can't get a save. Like, before this streak, they allowed 7 to the Lightning, 5, 6, and 6. Like, before this, they rarely allowed more than 5 outside of, a few empty netters here and there, a few like overtime shootout type of situations. Like, they were very good in the goal differential just overall.
Yeah.
And now they're negative. They're -7 now. That's largely due to, those 2 losses to the Lightning, and they were -19 during that 6-game losing streak. So take away that, and they're still plus 12. Like, they're still plus 12. I'm sure you can do that for any team, but like, this is still a team playing close hockey games, and we saw that last night in Vegas. Like, I feel like Vegas is a good stylistic matchup for the Flyers. They're not too fast like the Avalanche. That's going to be a lot tougher. I haven't watched enough Mammoth hockey to know what they are. I think that should be a good battle on Wednesday night. But I'll say it again: 2 points on this road trip already. Anything else is gravy. If you can get 1 more point, 3 points on a 3-game road trip out west, I'll take it.
Against the two of the teams at the top of their division standings. Like, and the Avs are faltering a bit, right? Well, faltering. They're still on pace to at least like tie the Boston Bruins record, but Utah, they still don't have Logan Cooley. He's going to be out until sometime in February, I think, so they miss him. But Karel Vejmelka has been pretty solid for them in net after like a cold stretch in the middle of the season. What else? Lawson Krause, for some reason, has just been firing away and scoring really well.
I think he's on the top line there, and Yeah, top line with Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller. That's been a good line. JJ Paterka hasn't been quite as good as they expected. While Josh Stone killed it for Buffalo against the Flyers. Especially.
And if Kesselring gets healthy, like I think that might be a trade that ends up being a win-win. The Mammoth get a winger of Paterka's type, so that helps them. And then the Sabres get a really good forward in Josh Doan and probably a second pair defenseman in Kesselring. And I think a draft pick was thrown in there too. That could work out well for both of them.
Yeah, it was a lot that they got back for Paterka, who didn't want to, or I don't know if he didn't want to sign long term or they didn't want to sign him, but it definitely worked out for Buffalo there. And Buffalo right now in a playoff spot. Let's look at the Eastern Conference standings. They are 594, which is tied for sixth with the Penguins there as well. Bruins right behind them, then the Leafs and the Flyers. Like the East is a complete. It's just all jumbled. Like you got the Lightning, Canes, and somehow the Red Wings there at the top, all with 64 or more. You got the Canadians 61, and then you got 59 and 54. There's like 7 teams in there with that many points. So like as we saw, the Flyers went from second in the Metro to out of the playoffs in a week and a half. Like they can just as easily win 6 in a row, win 4 of 6, and get right back up there into the playoffs. And like looking at a lot of these teams, we've either seen the Flyers play them or know them enough to be like, they're not that good. Like the Flyers are better than this team or can beat this team at full health, at full strength. So you see people during the losing streak be like, all right, let's start Kolosov. Let's tank. Let's do all this, whatever. The Flyers are not going to be bad enough to get a top unless they win a lottery. They're not going to get a top 5 pick again. Like the Canucks, the Jets, the Blues, the Rangers, the Flames, the Blackhawks. That's 6 right there. And you got the Predators and the Devils. They're probably in the bottom 10 as well. So like maybe they get down to that, Ottawa, Seattle, Columbus, Kings level, and they get another low double-digit pick. But like, do you really want that, or do you want to get the playoff experience for these young guys and like have some excitement? Be a fan, like enjoy your team winning. Like, that's just such a wild concept, Joe.
I know, it's crazy to think, wow, Travis Konechny scored 2 really awesome breakaway goals, but god damn it.
Joe.
I will say too, it's early. I'm not like reading too much into the draft yet, but at a cursory glance, it's not. Maybe we just all have a hangover from the 2023, 24, and 25 drafts where like Schaefer, Celebrini, and Bedard were unreal first overall picks. And then in 2023, Bedard was followed by Carlson, Fantilli, Smith, and to a degree, Michkov. Like this draft coming up doesn't have quite the same level of excitement.
Does it not?
To me,
McKenna hasn't had a great year, a great freshman year at Penn State. It's 24 points in 20 games as what? Freshly turned 18-year-old playing against men who every game like, all right, let's fuck up McKenna. I'm sure they're going to that. Like I know, I think I saw Wheeler or one of them had their rankings out today and they had Stenberg first over McKenna, but McKenna I think is still a very exciting prospect, and I haven't looked into it, but I see you guys talking about these other names in there. Looks like there's a decent group of guys at the top.
There's pretty good depth outside the top 5. Like if the Flyers end up picking 17th or 18th, there's probably going to be a decent player there. Like you look at the draft last year, and I was a big fan of Victor Eklund, and Kashawn Aitchison was a guy there. Jackson Smith was someone I really liked. Eklund and Aitchison went like 17-18 because the Habs traded both of those picks to the Islanders for Noah Dobson. So, there's always surprise players that fall to a team in the playoffs that you wouldn't expect them to be able to draft. Yeah. But also, as far as McKenna and Stenberg go, guess what position they play? Wing.
They're wings, right?
They're also like 5'10". The Flyers would be foolish to pass on them if they suddenly won the first overall pick or second overall or whatever, like through crazy lottery luck, like the New York Islanders did last year, my nemesis team. But they're already loaded on the wings. It's not. Would it be good to have an elite winger? Absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong, but there are positions of greater need that they would have better options to draft outside the
Yeah.
top two, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and if you can get them, if you can get one of these top guys, you take them. Like you take them and you deal with the
You
position
run.
list later. But we're way too early to talk about that. But
Yeah.
looking at like even Tankathon, like you have to be in the top 3 to have more than a 10% chance at the first overall pick. Even if you finish 10th, you have a 3.5% chance of the first overall pick. And Money Puck right now gives the Flyers a 31% chance to make the playoffs and a 14% chance to win a round in the playoffs. Like if Ladar gets healthy, they get Martone in there. He joins the team for the playoffs. Maybe Forster can come back a little bit early. Like this is a team that, if they're healthy, they can potentially win a round, depending on the opponent. That's what it is. That is, I think their ceiling this season is winning a playoff round.
Yeah, absolute ceiling. I think that's
Yes,
about as high as it
yes,
gets. I think they lose to the Lightning 10 out of 10 times. Although, you know, the Blue Jackets swept the Lightning in a first round playoff series.
yeah.
So who the hell
Flyers
knows?
don't have Bob though, so
Don't have Bob. Don't have Panarin, though
no.
apparently that's something that could happen.
I think if the Flyers get in, they'll probably get the 3rd seed in the Metro and play the Islanders, which will be a fucking dogfight. Double overtime games every time. Joe just hating
Redemption.
it every time.
Redemption for 2020.
Yeah.
Because the Islanders knocked them out.
Yeah, when they showed the Scott Lawton tribute video on the screen for that Thursday night game, and they
Oh.
showed his goal in that overtime, I think game 6, it was just chills there. That was fantastic there, seeing Scotty back. But yeah, I mean, Flyers right in the thick of things. Like they're better than this recent stretch showed. So yeah, a high ceiling is winning a playoff round, but like, what's a realistic goal right now for this team? Like this coming in right now, 48 games in. The first 48 are always very important in finding out what's happening there. Um, is playoffs a realistic goal? I feel like it kind of has to be, right?
I mean, would you rather have the goal be playoffs or the goal be bad? Like, I think they have a legitimate shot at the playoffs.
Yeah.
As long as the injuries don't get worse, first of all. And secondly, as long as they don't author their own destruction in some ludicrous way. Like, I don't know. They just collapse for some reason, you know.
Like they just have another 6-game losing streak, like out of the Olympic break or something
Or
stupid like that.
or like in 2023-24 when they were in a playoff spot and then they lost like 10 out of 13 on that gauntlet of games down the stretch.
That's when they ran Sam Ersson into the ground. That's why they can't do the same thing with Dan Vladar. Like that goaltending cost them a playoff spot. That they had Cal Peterson started a few games. I feel like Sandstrom, like they lost crucial points that would have clinched the playoff spot before game 82 had they had league average goaltending. Looking at the overall 5-on-5 numbers this season at Natural Stat Trick, Flyers right there, 16th with a 49.83% expected goal share. Like they're right in the middle. Like this team is solid at 5-on-5. Special teams is a real struggle, and goaltending has been very hot or cold. Hot with Vladar, cold with everyone else. And I feel like a lot of teams around the league are in kind of a similar place, especially these 3 or 4 different teams you're competing for in the East.
Yeah, no, I also do think, as good as the Islanders look, I do think they're going to fall off. I'm not sure. They have a lot of pending free agents, I think. Let me pull up their Puckpedia real quick. Like they have a lot of players that playoff teams would want to have. Let's see here. Anders Lee, pending UFA. JG Pajot, pending UFA. Who else? Tony D'Angelo, pending UFA. Well, let's see what else.
They're not going to sell though. They're not going to end up
sure?
selling.
Are you sure?
Unless they really, I mean,
they
I don't
are
think
in
they're
year
selling.
1. They're in year 1 of a retool.
Yeah, but they have Schaefer. Schaefer is already one of the top defensemen in the league. Like they have him, they got Aitchison and Eklund, right? They got those two guys with those later picks. Like they're ready to go. Like why not get Schaefer some playoff experience? Like they're not trading their captain while they're in a playoff spot. They're just
No.
not doing that. Maybe they trade
Peugeot?
Peugeot for like a younger change of scenery center. They also have dealt with a lot of injuries. They got Palmieri out for the season with that knee injury. Bo Horvat has missed time off and on. Matt Barzell has missed time as well. So it's yeah, but somehow they're second. They're second in the Metro, and that's the team that you're really trying to chase down because like the Canes should have first place locked up. Like unless they take the foot off the gas towards the end to save up for the playoffs, which
or their
maybe
goaltending.
Maybe they do, or their goaltending. Their goaltending could loosen up a bit there. But yeah, I mean, you got the Panthers behind the Flyers. You have to think they're going to make a run. Kachuk is back now. Capitals are behind the Flyers. They're going to be buyers. I feel like I'm not counting out the Devils yet. They have too much talent to count them out. Even though their goaltending, I think, is just as bad, if not worse, than the Flyers between Markstrom and Allen.
I think the Capitals is the team I'm most concerned about because they, we're tied in the standings. They have a plus 11 goal differential. Usually teams with positive goal differentials are the ones that are going to make it to the playoffs. Although the Capitals got in a couple of years ago with a distinctly negative goal differential. So, crazy things happen.
Yeah, and looking at those underlying metrics, Pittsburgh 9th best, Washington 10th best, expected goal share at 5-on-5, natural stat trick here. So that they're playing solid 5-on-5. And like when you have Ovi on the power play, when you have Crosby on the power play, Stu Skinner looks like a different goalie. Your boy, Stu Skinner in Pittsburgh.
My boy.
He came to Pennsylvania, just the wrong city there. He's been good for them. Like
he's working his way over. He'll get over here eventually. He'll get on 76 at the end of the season and come on over.
Just come on down here. Yeah, it's a jumble. It's really a jumble in the East, and that's partially why I wanted the Flyers to stay flexible to sell either Dvorak or Risto is too hurt now to sell. Like, is Risto ever going to get traded? Do you think?
Maybe by next year's deadline. Like I don't think he finishes this contract as a Flyer unless, of course, he winds up injured again next spring.
Yeah, because like at this point, it's like, okay, unless the team really wants to take a chance on him for the stretch run and put some like games played conditions in the pick you're getting back, you're not trading him. So just keep him, especially because you don't have anyone ready to replace him. They called up Hunter McDonald for this road trip. But Noah Juleson I hate watching Noah Juleson. I miss Igor Zamula. Oliver Bonk, you don't want to rush him too much. And like, so unless you trade Risto for a younger defenseman, there's not much to do there, like with Risto. So I feel like it could be an off-season thing, but I would be shocked if he doesn't need some sort of surgery in the off-season.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, the Flyers have said, like, here's our asking price. You got to meet it if you want it. And that's the Brendan Carlo or Ben Sherratt package, which is a first-round pick and a prospect of some level. I don't know if they'll get all of that, but they could get a first, I think.
The market for right-handed Rasmuses on the blue line is going up after the Anderson trade. So if he gets healthy, it's possible there. And joining us now mid-show here, he is off work. He's home. It is the one and only Jacob Russell. Let me add him to the stage. Let me make sure he gets on the proper thing here. How we doing here, Jake?
Well, I'm just trying to imitate basically like being the expert that comes in mid-segment.
Okay.
So if I keep doing it enough, maybe people will start to consider me the expert. How are you guys doing? What do you guys been talking about this episode? I know it's been a very eventful week.
Yeah, haven't talked too deeply into anything. Just touching now on like what the Eastern Conference playoff picture is, because like the Panthers are behind the Flyers, the Caps are behind the Flyers, the Islanders are somehow in second, the Penguins are in third. Like, what's realistic to expect the rest of the way?
Well, it's going to be it's a bunch of Vladar, right? It's basically just what will end up happening in between the pipes. And if people are going to be coming back, if Brink's going to be back for good, if Risto's going to be back for good, and he doesn't get traded, right, then the team looks a lot different. But it's a lot of moving parts right now.
We were just talking about Risto. Do you think he will ever get traded? Period.
I don't think
I
think they want way too much for him. I don't think anyone's going to meet that price. Like if I was a GM, I don't even consider that. Given the cheaper options you could get, especially considering Ristolainen. I mean, he looks like he's going to be, hurt again. Who knows if he even comes back before the Olympic break at this point. I don't even think you could put that out of the question, right? So it's difficult for him, especially to gauge his market. Like Gilb said already, the Anderson trade, there's a lot of assets out there for a defenseman named Rasmus, apparently. So maybe they can squeeze something out of somebody. But to me, I watch the guy play and I don't get it. I don't know why you'd really want him that badly. I just don't think he's that special. I don't think his game is that unique to warrant getting, Brandon Carlo played for some good hockey teams in Boston. Rasmus Ristolainen has never played for a good hockey team. Ever. That's the facts. And, I don't hate the guy. He's looked good in spurts, but there's also spurts where he doesn't look good. And there's also long stretches of time where he's injured with something that is very serious, right? Coming off the tricep. It was a tricep, right? Like I
think so.
Torn tricep last year, and that's a huge injury. And he's already a guy who sometimes shies away from contact for some reason. Those net front battles, I don't love how he plays those either. I don't love a lot of things that Risto does. I never have. And maybe someone is willing to get him and try that again the same way that Chuck Fletcher was, initially when they made that trade. But yeah, you really got to find a specific situation and hope that he plays leading up to the deadline, or else it just won't happen.
Someone desperate to add a defenseman.
Yeah, and you got to hope he plays in the Olympics too. Get some Olympic Risto out there. A little teaser for the potential playoff Risto. The deal I keep kind of going back to, and it's not going to be the same, but like the Coburn trade, you got Gudis back and a first-round pick and a third-round pick. Like, I don't think you're getting that much for Ristolainen, but like if you can trade Ristolainen for another right shot defenseman that's younger that can play right now, I think that's the only possible way you can do it in season. Because otherwise, you're stuck with Juleson playing every night, and then getting like a McDonald in there. Murchison, I think he's hurt though. Like, but they're not calling up Bonk yet. Like the defensive depth really takes a hit without Igor Zamula. Like Igor Zamula was your standard number 7 guy you could put there, and he's not an NHL defenseman by any means, like a great defenseman, but like you also don't have many defensemen that are proven to be ready between Grans and Yinning and all these different guys that have just come up and failed.
Yeah, and in the case of a guy like Juleson, like you should just be able to get that guy year over year, right? It shouldn't be Noah Juleson's here for the next 3 years because he fills the Noah Juleson role. So you're going to find a lot of guys moving in and out, but if you're going to deal Risto, it's going to have to be a guy on D, because I don't think you get a center that really fills the need that you have, right? Like if you get a center, it feels like in return for Risto, it would be more in the range of a guy like Dvorak or Cates, right? Our good old friend Dawson Mercer. Like even that I think is a bit too high of a value straight up 1-for-1 for Risto, right? So like if you're getting a centerman, it's probably not going to be the exact sort of archetype that you need. So it makes more sense to, go like for like and try and maybe even do something like, the Flames did, where they trade Anderson away and they get Whitecloud back, and you're like, okay, well, you can work with Zach Whitecloud. He's an NHL defenseman. He fills the hole left behind by said Rasmus, and then you just move on from there, and hopefully you don't see too much of a difference in the play of the team, right? But I wanted to ask you guys, did the last week affect how you feel about heading into the deadline, or did you already have this sort of idea in your minds?
As long as
it was a rough one. It wasn't great in stretches.
as long as they're not buyers in a stupid way, then I'm okay with it. Like if we're talking about a Risto trade, I don't mind moving Risto for like a young-ish 4C, like a Ryan Paling and a first-round pick, as long as you're filling that role with someone like Dougie Hamilton or like another defenseman that you could take on to shore up the rest of the lineup. Like if we're looking at a Risto move in a vacuum, yes, you would want a defenseman to come back, play that role, not be Noah Juleson, and your draft capital. But if you can move Risto to find a 4C, because Rodrigo Alves doesn't seem like he's going to play the rest of the season.
That was really depressing.
It's oh god, it was such a bummer to watch. So that's a position of need right now. And if you find like a Peyton Krebs or someone in that vein, plus your draft capital, boom, that solves that problem. Okay, well now you need someone to play like third pair right shot minutes, but you also need someone who can do the power play because nobody on this team seems to be able to do it. There's Dougie Hamilton. Although it doesn't have to be Dougie, but someone in that vein.
Yeah. It's really, I guess not too much has changed. Like I was never fully out. I never thought this team was gonna tank or go to the bottom. Just they're, with getting Ladar back and whatnot, they were gonna win at some point. And the East is so bad. It's just like, who are they going to trade? Like they're not trading Dvorak. I don't think Risto they're going to move. Maybe they do make a hockey trade like for a Hamilton or the guy I was thinking about when Joe mentioned Peyton Krebs. And I know the Bruins are looking for a defenseman, Casey Middlestat, like someone like that, like is just another very middling center that can add to this group of centers that the Flyers have. But he's a 27. He's a former 8th overall pick, so he has the talent. 23 points in 39 games this year. But then it becomes, who is your 4C then? And before we get to that, but like just looking at the cap wages here, like who else are we trading? Are we trading Tippett or making a big trade involving Tippett for something else? Like, are we going to sell off Hathaway or a Sealer type? Like, there's just not a lot. We're not trading Brink, Joe. We're not trading Bobby Brink. He's clear.
He's the good luck charm.
He's the glue. Bobby Brink is the glue. I'm not sure why he gave himself a buzz cut or whatever, but he's still the glue there, Bobby Brink. But like, there's no one else to trade. Like I know Briere can get creative, and I would like a trade for a goalie. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's just I just don't know who you move.
You let it ride. Also, I forgot to bring this up earlier. This isn't a bad year to make the playoffs and still lose in the first round, because the Ottawa Senators do not have a first round pick. So forget the standings. Everyone's draft position moves up one slot because the Senators aren't going to be able to use the draft pick, right? That's how that would work.
That's how it worked with the Coyotes. So they lost their pick because of some sort of tampering or whatnot.
The Sens?
The Coyotes.
No, they didn't. Yeah,
the
Senators.
But the Senators just don't have one. It would work that way though.
No, I'm saying
they don't.
They forfeited it due to the first round. The Dadonov trade a few years ago.
Yes,
it seems like a very, very steep price to pay for a trade, some sort of no trade clause situation. But that's what they're paying. So everyone is getting a pickup there, but. Jacob, we talked about it a bit. Like we talked about Zegras not getting the chance at center with Abels out and bringing up Peterson instead. Who do you think, if you put Zegras at center or if you traded for another center, who are you putting down there at the 4C? Like it's not going to be Dvorak. It's not going to be Zegras. Cates maybe, but he's working well with Brink on the third line. And I don't think Couturier.
It's got to be Couturier.
I don't think Taka would do that to him. I just don't think he would.
I think he would. I don't think that NHL people really respect Sean Couturier that much, if I'm being honest.
Unless if you get like a few good wingers, if you get like,
it's been proven that they just don't respect the guy. Like he doesn't curry favor in the way of like, a regular captain. It just like Tortorella just didn't respect him whatsoever.
Well, no, and that's why Tocchet is going to.
And Tocchet, no, but I guess I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, Tocchet has had notable schisms in the locker room where I don't know how much of that was. I've said this before. I feel like I've said this before, but how much of what went on in Vancouver was Tocchet's fault versus the players, right? you can't really determine that. Regardless of that, I think, you know, if you do trade for a guy, if Zegras is at center, if Cates is at center, if Dvorak's at center, Couturier is the 4C.
He has to be.
That's just what it is.
Just by default. Yeah.
He's the worst guy on the, like, I mean, he's not the worst player, but he's the most suited to that sort of role right now. He does offensively, he just seems like he has zero confidence whatsoever with the puck on his stick. It's just, it's getting to a point where you don't even want him to have the puck. And it's getting to a point where I look at the expected goals that he has, and I'm like, you have to knock a certain amount off of this, because the expected goals are not being realized if Sean Couturier is on the ice and he's got the puck on his stick. He does not want to shoot. He does not feel like on an odd man rush. He's assertive in his decision making. I don't know why he's doing that, but largely he's been playing quite well. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I made a comment yesterday on Blue Sky, like, man, people are worried about Jet Luchenko not shooting the puck when Sean Couturier is already here and not shooting the puck. But we've talked before about how the Flyers don't have a first line, a second line, a third line, a fourth line. They have
it's
three second lines and a third line. So, you know, nominally, would Couturier be the fourth line center? Yes. Would that line be utilized like a fourth line?
No.
It would
he'd
probably
he'd still have way more minutes as well than a normal fourth line would.
Special
the PK,
teams,
the power play, 100%. Like, so it's hard to even. So I guess he wouldn't be the 4C then, because he's going to be playing more minutes than Cates would in that scenario, I would imagine.
He played 8 minutes on the PK last night. Like, he's going to get those minutes, and put him on the fourth line with two good wingers. Like, I don't necessarily want Hathaway with him, but like Grundstrom and Gurbankin, like that'd be a great line. Yeah, great line.
That more classifies to me as a third line ish, like a second, third line, like Joe was saying, right? Like then you just got 2 second lines and two third lines.
2 third lines,
and you just let it ride.
Yeah. Talking about his underlying metrics, his expected goals for% relative to his teammates is a plus 905, which is
they're all good.
The 14th best in the league among 267 forwards or skaters that have played at least 600 minutes. So like
all of his numbers, all of his advanced stats are fantastic. It's just when you watch him and he gets the puck and he looks like he's about to score, I don't know what happens. I do not know what happens. It's not even the playmaking. Like, he gets to the right spot. He's standing in the right spot to get the puck. And that's why he's on these odd man rushes. And then it's just like, I don't know what goes on with him. Like what was the one last night that he
had a rush.
He had a 2-on-1.
He had a 2-on-1. He just shoveled it. Terrible pass. Like, so far behind whoever was on the 2-on-1 with him. And it's just like, man, you did everything right until the end, and then it's just such an amateur finish for final play for a guy who has been like a really talented hockey player and scored a lot of points in his career.
Yeah, it's tough to see, and it's tough to look at how the Flyers haven't locked up till 2030, because
maybe
no one's taken that contract. I don't think Briere would even look to trade him unless he wanted to go somewhere else. Like, the cap is going up. That's the only saving grace there for Couturier. And I guess worst case scenario is he gets hurt and you just put him on LTIR or send him to Ellis Island. And that's worst case.
I was going to say too, Tocchet's mentioned like, I need to ease up on his minutes. I need to ease up on his usage. If he ends up on the fourth line, well, there's a great reason to ease up on his 5-on-5 minutes. And maybe, I don't know if they'd shelter him necessarily, because he's still a good matchup center. Like, he's still good defensively. Yeah. But, you know, maybe it would ease some of the defensive burden. It would help him find some offensive confidence, because he's probably going to be playing against like the third and fourth lines of an opponent's team rather than the top two lines. If the Flyers do get another center like a Casey Middlestad or a Peyton Krebs, someone in that vein, and you end up putting Couturier on the fourth line, quote unquote, it'll look bad on paper and it'll piss a lot of people off, but in practice, you could manage it in such a way. Or, you know, to fix this, you make that the third line on paper, and then the fourth line is like Cates, Brink, whatever, and then there you go. There's the respect given the captain. He's on the third line now. He's Jordan Staal instead of playing a 4C.
Jordan Staal is a very admirable existence now in the NHL.
Yeah,
to be the Jordan Staal.
Yeah.
Instead of Eric on Florida.
or Mark Staal on the Flyers.
Or Mark.
Oh wow!
Remember when we had him?
You never want to be Mark Stahl.
Who the other day mentioned Brendan Lemieux? Was that you, Jacob? Did you mention Brendan Lemieux? Someone mentioned.
No, that was in the Slack. Somebody brought up Brendan
someone brought him
Lemieux.
up.
It was Thomas.
I was like, ugh.
Of course it was Thomas. He always brings up
Zach
the
McEwen
worst,
for Brendan
the worst
Lemieux
thing.
in a fifth.
Yeah.
What a trade.
What a
deal.
Yeah.
I will say though, I was scrolling through trades because I was like, was 2021 the worst offseason the Flyers ever had? And I saw the Justin Braun to the New York Rangers trade, and Chuck Fletcher got a 3rd round pick for Justin Braun. I'm like, you know what? That's actually a pretty good value deal.
Pretty shrewd deal in there by the Chuckster as usual. Zach
Blue
McEwen,
Jays.
I think, actually has the 2nd hardest shot in the NHL this year. So good for you, Zach. I think I saw that. He's top 5. He's top 5 for sure. I think he blasted 199 miles an hour. He's just behind
the stash.
Morgan Geekie, 103. Did not know he had that in his locker. But yeah, Zach still making his presence felt, or the boards on the boards. I guess he probably didn't hit the net with that. But
Probably not.
Is he still with Ottawa, or is he in New Jersey?
I think he's with Ottawa.
He's around. He'll be somewhere.
But speaking of Couturier, Charlie O'Connor tweets from Vegas that Couturier is the only skater not on the ice. Tocchet has noted he feels like Couturier is dealing with fatigue at the moment, so perhaps just getting a day off. And then he tweeted out the lines with Gurbenkin in Couturier's place. So I'm sure it's just a day off for him. And Dan Vladar is on the secondary rink and then joined him on joined his teammates on the main rink. So maybe, hopefully, this is me talking, not Charlie. Hopefully, he'll be back in time for the Avalanche to put up 5 on him.
Yeah.
Or just save him for the Islanders at that point, honestly.
I don't know. The Couturier thing, it is kind of concerning that we're not even at the Olympic break and he's already like feeling fatigued.
Get 3 weeks. He's gonna get 3 weeks off. He's not playing. It'll be fine.
I know, but he couldn't even get to the point where he gets 3 weeks off. It's just like, I know he gets played a lot. He gets ridden by the coach, right? And he plays all situations, but it's still not exactly a good, forecast, like you said, for the future. That he's like, what is it, 50 games in? Are we even 50 games in?
48,
and he's like, oh, I'm dying out here, boys. I can't move my legs.
Maybe they should have got him down to 4C and given Zegras a chance, because managing his minutes in games is going to be just as important as practice time.
Yeah,
maybe he finds another gear in the playoffs.
If he plays,
maybe.
The problem is if he plays, he has to play like penalty kill. That is what he's like most effective at. Partially.
That's fine.
So
stop
like
taking so many penalties, you dumbasses.
Don't take penalties.
And it's very tempting for Tocchet to also play him on the power play because he's the captain and
he hasn't been though. It's been Dvorak on the first unit and then Cates on the second unit.
I just don't know if in game they'll actually be able to manage his minutes. It just seems like he'll always be playing at least like 16 something.
Break glass in case of emergency. That's the Sean Couturier over the boards call, Yeah,
and he's with Barkey and Tippett, 2 fast guys who are playing well. So you're going to put Couturier out there with him. Like so you're going to play him a lot. It's
that line has been fantastic. 5-on-5.
Line. It's been a
so
great
line. If you want to win, which that's what the team is trying to do, at least for right now.
Yes.
You're going to put that line out there. It's top. I think the expected goals of that line was also top 10 in the league last time I checked. So that, that's the thing. It's hard to manage his minutes, and you can still, by watching the game, even if you don't want to say that he's playing badly, because I don't think he is. I don't think he's playing badly, but you can tell that he's definitely fatigued, and his offensive decision-making, I think it's not all there just because he's kind of busting ass the entire game, and he's absolutely shattered by the end of it.
Yeah,
Barkey and Tippett are dragging him around the ice because they've got the wheels to do it. Tippett because he's fast, and Barkey because he's got that dog in him. Just to close the loop on the Zach McEwen thing, he is in New Jersey now.
On
LTIR, unfortunately, but in this quick look up, there is a famous brutal former Flyer in the Ottawa Senators system right now, and I would like you to take a guess who that is.
Well, what do you
Hayden
mean by
Hodgson.
brutal? I know.
Yes.
Easy. This is easy. I know ball, buddy.
I got Ole Excel as well up there, up in
Oh,
Ottawa. Yeah,
He wasn't brutal though.
No, he
Hayden
wasn't
Hodgson
brutal.
was pretty
No.
ass. He was pretty bad.
And
Yeah.
also just like reckless. He like the only time he's been in the news since he left the Flyers is he laid a big hit on Mark Stone in a preseason, and
Yes.
Mark Stone got real pissed off about that. And he also hit a Blue Jackets prospect so hard in an AHL game that the kid had to be stretchered out of the building. Like those are the two things that Agent Hayden Hodgson has been known for.
See, that's the
since
thing
his
with the
Flyers tenure.
Senators. That's the thing with the Senators because they had the Scott Sabourin saga going on for a bit too, where he had beef with Austin Matthews of all people about every time they seemed to play, and it was like, where are you getting these guys? Plus Nick Cousins still just
Ridley
one of
Krieg.
the worst players in the league, just an absolute nuisance, like a bad guy, not honorable, just one of the worst spawns that the Flyers have ever unleashed onto this league since Steve Downey. Like it just brutal, bunch of guys that got over in Ottawa, and that's not even mentioning good old Brady out there running around, getting punched in the head, but by trees essentially.
Yeah,
that's why the Flyers needed to trade Dvorak and bring Claude home, bring him back home to the nice boys here down in Philly and up there in Ottawa. But Jacob, you asked us how we're feeling after this past week. What's your vibe check here? They had the big win, big losing streak, got back on track last night. Not a pretty win, but it's a win. It counts in the standings. How are you feeling now?
Well, I was talking to you earlier, Ryan, about like just kind of the vibe I had coming out of that weekend. And it was just so frustrating to me. I had those two Tampa games down as losses, right? And if you find a way to beat teams like Tampa or Vegas, you just got to take it if you're the Flyers, right? It's not really about the process for me in those types of games because you're not expected to win, like flat out. Tampa, they went in there and got absolutely crushed. It's not that surprising. But you just look at that Ducks game and all of the momentum that they built up from that, all of the goodwill, all the great feelings. Everyone was really excited about how they were playing heading out of that game and how they all kind of galvanized in what was, one of the biggest games that they've played as a team thus far, probably the biggest one, from an emotional standpoint. And they got out of it. There were a couple of injuries, which obviously that's partially part of the reason why they didn't play as well after that. But you win that big game, and then it's just a streak of just bad efforts. You lose an OT to the Leafs with the Lawton shorthanded goal. That was a bad game, even though you didn't get you got the point. You didn't get run out of the building, but that was one where you really should have won that game. The two Lightning games, you get crushed. The Sabres game was also, just as bad, really. They didn't look good then either. And then again, the Penguins Rangers, those two games you look at and you go, okay, so all of the goodwill that was built up from the Ducks game and the season almost up to that point, was spilled at that point, right? Everyone heading into the Vegas game was thinking, I think even some of the more optimistic fans was thinking, okay, this might actually spiral into something that gets really bad. But you get the win in Vegas and it's like, okay, so they're not complete garbage. Like they can still scrounge out like those scrappy wins. I was talking in the Slack yesterday too, watching the Golden Knights game. And it was basically the first 10 minutes of the game where Vegas uninterrupted pressure, broken up by a Travis Konechny breakaway. That was essentially a drop pass to Konechny that set him on the breakaway by Vegas defenseman, right? So like that happened twice, and that's how they scored both their goals. So it's not sustainable, but again, you got to get the wins against the good teams like that, right? So you can't really complain. It's just, it seems like we're just headed for another middle season, and I don't know if they have enough for the rest of the season to make the playoffs. It's all going to come down to how they come out of the Olympic break. If Mishkov can finally get it going coming out of the Olympic break, maybe he goes into the break with some more mojo. It seemed like he's been playing better as of recent. But it's tough. Like, it just feels like you're kind of destined for the same spot that we've been looking at for quite a while. And that's the unfortunate part, because you look at the upcoming schedule of Mammoth, Avalanche, Islanders, Jackets, Bruins, Kings. It's not the most difficult schedule in the world, but it's all pretty condensed, and those aren't horrible teams. They're all going to put up a fight against you. And the Islanders, that's a divisional game that's going to be really annoying. So I'm not sure what to think about it. I don't. Unfortunately, they kind of made the decision when they signed Dvorak, right, that it's not going to be a sell-off year. But I don't know if they gain anything from being in this sort of, mushy middle in a really, really bad Eastern Conference. That's starting to get a bit better, but is still pretty bad.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the teams around the Flyers in the standings are in the same spot. They're like, all right, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna figure this thing out? But I think the Flyers are one of the more unique teams where they're not quite ready to compete. They're not like the Senators who need to buy. They're not like the Panthers who are gonna buy. Like they're not like the Capitals who have one final run with Ovi. Like they're in a unique position where they're still not supposed to be here yet. They're not supposed to be in the playoffs quite yet. But it is a little bit worrying that and maybe it'll be a good thing in the long run, but none of their young guys have taken huge step forwards this season. Forster did it. Zegras is young enough; he's fitting in. But Michkov, Brink is having a decent season. Drysdale's been okay. York has been trending downward recently. There's no one that's been okay, that was a clear win this season. Let's take that and build off of it. Except Zegras and maybe Vladar, but that remains to be seen how he holds up in the second half.
I think Tippett might be a name worth throwing in there. I said it earlier in the show, but ever since early December, he has a expected goals for percentage over 60%. That as an individual at 5-on-5, obviously, I feel like I don't need to clarify that, but that's pretty damn good. And the fact that he's been doing that for over a month and a half is a good sign, because one of the biggest knocks against Tippett is that he comes and goes. He'll be great for a week, then off, then great, then off, and then kind of just it's all or nothing. For the past month, he's been damn good. And it kind of aligns with when the trade rumors finished, and I just think it's funny that that's what put a spur in his boot and made him become who he is these past few weeks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gilbs.
No, I'm just saying, he got that chip on his shoulder. He got the vote of confidence from the front office, and he's looked confident. He looked confident with the puck. He's been shooting the puck more, especially these past few weeks. 15 goals in 48 games, so on pace for just under 30. A lot of that at 5-on-5, because the power play is garbage. If the power play gets going, this team is the playoff team. That's the big thing. But we can talk about the power play for hours every single fucking day. And it's just they have to figure something out. And
it's been that way for years.
Yeah. It's just the same thing. And the broadcast talks about it's good to get shots on, and maybe chaos can happen. Chaos is not a strategy. You need to have a strategy out there like the Knights did. They scored one out of 7 times, but you could see that they knew what they were doing with that top unit. The Flyers don't. The Flyers are all right, let's get the puck to the point, shoot, hope the rebound bounces to our stick. And that doesn't work.
And that's the problem. That's the problem that I've had recently is you look at the team and you want to analyze it and can they make the playoffs? Can they do this? How good are they? What should they do to prepare for the future given what their scenario is right now? And it's hard to even really have a conversation that makes sense about it, because the penalty kill and the power play, you cannot be a good hockey team. It's almost not even worth watching the hockey team if they're going to have a bottom 5 penalty kill and a bottom 5 power play, or bottom 1 power play for large stretches of the season. And they've had that, at least the power play side. The penalty kill has I think is actually better, and I think will get better and has been better statistically year over year. It's not a long-term thing the way the power play is. But if one of those things, if one of your special teams units is consistently in the bottom 5, it's so much harder to be a even decent hockey team. Like that's just what it is.
Like you touched on it, I'm not worried about the penalty kill. It has been proven to be good for several years.
And you can see how those guys on the team would be good on the penalty kill. There are a lot of guys.
They'll figure that one out. I like going 6 for 7 against the Golden Knights, who were the 4th best power play in the league last night. That's a good start. That's a good thing to build off of. So, I'm not too fussed about the penalty kill. I think they'll figure it out. But the power play, I feel like maybe I'm hallucinating, but at the beginning of the season, they did seem to have more strategy built into the power play. There were more passing, more set plays. And that just isn't, I haven't seen that lately. Part of it, zone entries and like getting control of the puck in the offensive zone has been such a challenge for them for some stupid reason. You have one extra guy. Come on, like
they do it better when they have the same amount of players as the other team. I've never seen it be harder when there is less people on the ice. There's literally more room to do it.
They're afraid to use Zegras and Michkov together because they think they're both similar players and they should both control the puck. But no. Put them both out there together. Put Zegras in his spot in the circle there where he can one time from. If he gets the puck, he can play with it too. Have Michkov, out up top, maybe on the left side even. He likes shooting from that side, seeing the entire ice. Like get your top guys out there. I'm gonna keep banging this drum until it happens. And then if it happens and it fails, okay, whatever. You tried it. It can't get worse. One more Owen Tippett stat here. Since the start of the 2023 season, 5-on-5, his goals per 60 is 1.05, which is 24th in the NHL, above Wyatt Johnston, above Adrian Kempe, Jake Gensel, Alex DeBrincat, Tyler Toffoli, Jonathan Marchessault, Sidney Crosby, Kaprizov. Like, he's a good goal scorer at 5-on-5. Like, this is not a player you should just be looking to trade away.
That's the thing too. It's so hard to evaluate goal scorers because you don't score on the power play. Like so much of a goal scorer's diet in the NHL now is on the power play. And this team, the last 10 games, has gone 3 for 31. They have 3 power play goals. They have 2 shorthanded goals. That just can't be a thing that happens. For an NHL team. It's literally it's harder to do that than not. It's unfathomable how bad it's been.
Yeah, and Tippett's not even on top unit. Get Tippett on the top unit. Like I love Brink, I love Konechny, but like get Tippett up there probably for Brink, just to give him a zone entry chance. Like let him fly the zone and all that. But it's we could talk about this for hours. We really have week. I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get into predictions here. Wednesday night at Utah. I'm gonna say 5-2 loss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think 4-3 overtime loss.
Okay.
I really don't think they played very well against Vegas, so I'm going to say a fourth. What was your score, Joe? I don't want to cover this.
4-3 overtime loss.
Okay, so I'll go 3-2 overtime loss then.
Yeah, before you came on, I said like they match up well against Vegas. Like Vegas, like a slower team. There's no speed, and I feel like Utah probably has.
There's some young legs.
Yeah,
there's some young legs in Utah for sure.
Yeah, and they're deeper. They're deep. Yeah, Milk has been good. They're pretty deep. They have Dylan Gunther on the third line somehow.
All right, let's move on to the next one here, please.
At Colorado, Joe, what do you got here?
What was the Lightning score? 8-1.
I think it was
7-2.
7-1?
Yeah, 7-2.
7-2.
It felt like 7-1.
Yeah,
I felt like 7-1. I think they'll do a little bit better, and it's going to be like a 7-3 loss.
Football score there. All right.
Yeah, touchdown.
Jacob?
I wonder who's starting this one. I was just thinking.
Vladar, maybe?
Might be Vladar. It could be Vladar. I'll give them a 5-2 loss.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be in that range. I'll go 6-2 loss. The Avs are good. The Avs are really fucking good. Like they're historically good. That's and then the Islanders
Oh.
on Monday. I should have said this one. Joe, you gotta give your no, Joe, we'll save you for last. Jacob, what do you think for the Isles?
Oh, it's an Islanders game at home, so it's a 4-3 overtime loss.
Right.
No, actually shootout. 4-3 shootout loss.
Shootout loss. I have a 3-2 shootout win in that one.
It's either a shootout win or a shootout loss. It literally depends on whether or not Trevor Zegras scores in the shootout. That is the only thing that decides this game.
Yeah, make sure you go to our good friends at FanDuel and bet the game to go to overtime. It's usually around plus 300. It's usually pretty good money there. Joe, your hated Islanders.
I'm going to choose hope. I'm going to choose optimism and say that the Flyers are going to win 4-2 in regulation.
Wow.
Ooh,
I just can't see a game with the Islanders going to regulation.
It's either going to be that or 1-0 overtime loss. Like that those are the only two ways that this could go.
Yeah. Looking back at our past predictions, I had overtime loss in Pittsburgh. Joe had 5-3 loss. Jacob had 5-2 loss. They're pretty close there. 6-3 loss in Pittsburgh. Rangers, we all had wins. We all know how that went out. And in Buffalo, Jacob and I both said win. Joe said a 4-3 loss, which 5-2 loss. So I guess that was the closest there. All right, Joe, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at Blue Sky at jfdmarini.bsky.social. Russ, where can they find you?
I'm on Blue Sky at russell28.bsky.social, on Twitter at russell_28_, and of course the BSH Instagram, which you should all go check out. And I'm never going to stop talking about. Ryan, how about you, buddy? Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you kind of follow me on Blue Sky at ryangilbert.bsky.social, on Twitter at rgilbertsop, and on that Broad Street Hockey Instagram. Of course, make sure you read and subscribe to broadstreethockey.com. Plenty of great content up there. Once again, thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring the show. All right, until next time, thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.